Hey guys, this is Ian Collins from Snowpiercer, hanging out with Elias on the Man Cave Chronicles podcast.
Ian, welcome to the cave.
Elias, thanks for having me on.
I've been waiting for a few days for this interview. We've been trying to schedule this for a few days now. I mean, great to have you on. The listeners and viewers that are tuning in, they see you as Tristan on Snowpiercer season 3, which I can't wait till we dive into that a little bit more. But one of the first things I like to start off my interviews, man, I want to, like, you're a storyteller. You went into the storytelling business. How did you decide that this is what you wanted to get into?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long journey, if I'm being honest. I started in high school in theater, did a lot of shows, enjoyed it, loved it, but actually fell into the culinary arts. Became a chef, got my red seal, worked in like 5-star establishments and resorts, and realized something was missing. So I met a friend who was an actor, and he kind of got me into the business, and I started in commercials and started doing the kind of normal commercial routine that a lot of actors do, and then did the principal work, found a principal agent, and kind of been going strong for 9 years. Like, looking back, I recently just talked to my agent and manager and was like, it's been 9 years, you guys, 9 years. So it has been a journey, but we're here now.
You ever when you tell people that you went into pretty much a chef school, culinary arts, like, oh, you got to cook for me, you ever get that?
It's constant. But like, a chef never wants to cook for anybody, let's be honest.
Or yeah, I mean, it's just like, like, whenever other people hear you can do something else right away, it's like, oh, I gotta call him, he's got to come over and fix this or whatever.
Oh, yeah. I do get it a lot. I get like, can you cut this chicken for me? I get a lot of that. That's is this done? Yeah, it's done.
So you grew up in Toronto too, right?
I'm actually in Toronto right now filming a new pilot, and so I'm back home for a little bit. But yeah, I grew up in Toronto, did university out here, did most of my film training out here. So yeah, it's weird because I feel like I'm at home again, but I live in Vancouver for the past 10 years.
Wow, it's great though, because I've had actors and come on the show, and they're like from Canada and everything, and it's like they love it. It's like I've had a few that are from Toronto, Montreal, and it's like, and they love living there, and they love to travel to Vancouver. Vancouver's like the new Hollywood for Canada, pretty much. It's like everything gets filmed there these days.
Yeah. I mean, it's known as North Hollywood. It's like the place to be if you're a Canadian actor, and it's a 2-hour flight from gate to gate to LA. So that's where a lot of actors tend to move out to. And I mean, it doesn't hurt that Vancouver films everything, so you're already kind of in the door.
Now, where's Snowpiercer filmed? Is that in Vancouver too?
Yeah, so it's just outside of Vancouver, in Langley. So it's in the Vancouver area bubble. Yeah.
Wow,
We film out of a studio called Martini Studios. And I mean, the studio is just, it's ginormous. It's just massive. Director Baum said, like, when he did his movie, it was one train that they redressed. We have pretty much all those trains built, all those carts built that you see in like this studio that is just, you could lose yourself in it. You really do. Like, there's an AD that literally brings the actors to their trailers to each set, because they'll be like, go to studio 7, and I'm like, oh my god, where which one? So it's a massive studio, Martini Studios. Little shout out to them, because they're doing a great job. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about making like the jump into LA, moving to LA, or do you like just living in Vancouver and you can fly back and forth for projects or even just auditions?
Yeah, it's tough as a Canadian actor, because you have to have so much to live in LA as a Canadian. I think about it a lot. I do think about it a lot. I try to go down for pilot seasons and make friends and make connections and do my thing. But I think about it a lot, but I do love Canada. It's home for me. So, I mean, to all the American viewers, That's a Canadian $20 bill behind me. So
That's awesome.
it's just home. Canada's always going to be home, but I do think about LA a lot. I love LA as well.
Now you mentioned you did some commercials too. Like, do you enjoy doing those? Also, I've had other, other guests on. Like, when I'm not working, those are so great to do because it's easy money, and then they can go to the next project while they're waiting for the project to start.
Yeah, I mean, when you have to sign a contract with like a studio, you can't do a lot of other projects, but there's usually like a little bit of room for a commercial. But then there's the complications. Like a lot of people who aren't in the business don't know about like the union. So if you're part of the actors union, it's really hard to do commercials. There's not many union commercials in the world. There's lots of non-union commercials. So I miss having that step in my career. I really enjoyed commercials. Not because they're easy, but because like it's a quick 2 days, quick 1 day kind of thing. And you kind of meet a lot of people really quickly and you smile on camera and you always look great. And yeah, so I do miss that part of the commercials, but yeah, I wish there was more union ones. It would be nice to kind of do more. Yeah. But I missed that stage in my life where I was doing a lot of commercials. I do miss that stage. It was fun. Yeah.
Let's talk about your journey into Snowpiercer. How did that happen for you? You've been on it for a few seasons now, and your characters, as if people are tuning in, your character is getting bigger and bigger throughout the seasons. Also,
yeah, thanks. It has been a journey with Tristan, but I did the standard audition. I did a local audition for this one. And the character was described as Melanie's assistant at the time. And I auditioned for Tristan, got the call back, went to the callback, and then met with the directors and the producers and the writers and did an audition for them. And then got the part, like as I was like on my way back home from the studios. And I remember screaming at the top of my lungs because who doesn't want to work with all these legends and these like people that are stars and they know what they're doing. They're at the top of their game. So yeah, and then season 1 was, I remember being on set a lot. And then season 2 was great. And then we're in season 3 and I can officially say that I'm going to be on season 4. So I'm super excited about that as well. But yeah, it has been a journey, and just to like flow all the way back, I can be a little bit of a rambler sometimes, but there was an original pilot before our pilot. So I actually auditioned for a completely different character a year before Tristan.
Oh, wow.
And then that pilot didn't really go anywhere. So yeah, I'm happy with Tristan.
That's awesome.
Ecstatic with Tristan. Yeah.
So there was a movie, now there's a show, but it's also based off a graphic novel. Is your character in the novels? Because like I don't read comics or anything. Like I rather watch the shows and the movies, but I was never a comic person. Do you know anything about this character?
So I'm actually the opposite. I'm a huge comic book nerd. Okay. I love comics. So I own all the comics, and there could be characters that Tristan comes from.
Okay.
Absolutely. But there is nobody named that fits Tristan's characteristics that are in the comic books. Yeah, a good read though. Those graphic novels are such a good read. You got to pick it up because it's such a different universe. All right. It's pretty epic. It really is.
So since your character is not really in the comics, so you had like your input of how to play this character pretty much.
Yeah. And that was like such a cool part about Tristan. I've always played Tristan. Like I found the sides for Tristan that I auditioned with recently in the beginning of the year. I was like going through a bunch of paperwork and I like stumbled on this 8-page thing that said Tristan, and I was like, oh. And I've always played Tristan the same way. I always have played him as somebody who's this fiercely intelligent individual, but with that intelligence, he kind of creates this anxiety and like fear inside of himself.
Mm.
And then I've also played it the flip of that, which is like maybe that's all just an act, and maybe that's his defense mechanism against this world that he's put in. So I've always played him that way since day one. I've always played him as somebody who wants to be perceived as meek, but maybe isn't that meek. So yeah, yeah, I'm excited for Tristan. I really am, and I'm excited for the fans and everyone to kind of see what the progression of Tristan, because like you've mentioned, it's been more and more every season. So I'm excited for a little bit more to keep going. Yeah.
You ever had like the writers or like the director producer come up to you and ask you like a question like what do you think about this scene, or how do you think Tristan should play that scene? Or
I mean, that's the best part about working on this on Snowpiercer with Graham and the writers is literally that, because they do ask for the input, they accept the input, and this is the first time that me as an actor, I've been able to work on something for this many amount of years.
Yeah.
And everybody's family now, so it's not this kind of like, when you come on as a guest star as an actor, you're there for a week or you're there for a couple of weeks, and you don't want to step on any toes. But when you're on something for this long, you kind of, it's family. It's like talking to your uncle. It's like talking to your brother. It's like talking to your parents.
That's great.
So there's love involved in that as well. And they know that you love the character as much as they love writing for the character. So that's literally one of the best parts of working on this show. It really is. So to answer your question, yes, it is like a collaboration. It is feedback and community and love and family. It's all of those things.
What do you love about Tristan?
There's a lot of things I love about Tristan. Like I said, how I've always played him. I love the fact that he is a survivor. I love the fact that his perspective on life hasn't really been shown yet, but I've always played him as he's always watching. He's always listening. He may not be doing the right thing at the time, but he's always watching. And I think that's a really important aspect of him. And that's what I love about him, because I think, and especially in this time, we may not be watching each other as much as, or listening as much as we should be. So, I mean, I love that aspect of Tristan. I love that he can sit there and intake all of this and maybe not say a word, and maybe not say a word right, because he's still processing what he just heard. So I think, that's probably that's my favorite part of Tristan. And I love the shadow mentality of Tristan. I really do. I like being able, I mean, I stand at 6 feet tall, 200 pounds. So like for Tristan to be as big as I am and not stand out and not be like, to be able to draw back and like become invisible if he needs to, is I love that. I really do. I think it's great.
You mentioned earlier when you first auditioned for it, it said you were the assistant of what was the name you mentioned?
Melanie.
But they changed it, huh, for Ruth?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which I can't even imagine working on Snowpiercer without working with, my number one, my ride or die on the show, Allison Wright. I mean, she has taught me so much in the last 4 years. So it's just, I couldn't even imagine Tristan not being Ruth's shadow. I really couldn't.
Yeah.
I think Ruth's progress as her character we're going to see an equal progression with Tristan, because there's just that shadow mentality that has kind of been created between the two characters. So I couldn't imagine being on set every day with anybody else. She is just one of the most talented people and educated people I've ever met. So yeah.
How would you describe that chemistry now between your two characters on the show?
It's changed over the years,
right?
I think, personally, and I mean the character wise, but I mean, I've always written down when I started working with the character Ruth, there is like a kind of parenting figure there. Ruth has always been Tristan's protection. Like, you know, his fails, his like mumblings, Ruth has always protected him from seeing what is actually happening on this train. So yeah, I don't want to say parenting because she's not old enough to be Tristan's parent, but like it's definitely, there is like a aspect there of Ruth wants to take care of Tristan. And I would love to see that, you know, explored more. But yeah, I've always seen it that way. Yeah. But personally, I mean, me and Allison are great friends. I love her to death. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So now, like for the people that are tuning in to watch like season 3, like what do you hope you expect to see from the reaction from the fans this season?
The fans have already been amazing.
Yeah.
Already amazing. The fans of the show are just so, they're able to connect with what we're actually like on set. It's just this loving community that Snowpiercer is. And the fans have kind of chimed into that, and it's actually kind of it's awesome. Amazing because I don't want to shout out a bunch of people, but there's like 10 people that constantly talk to me about the show because I'm a fan. And I'm a fan of the show. So when I'm reading the scripts, I'm reading these scripts like 10 times over, being like, oh, that's going to happen. Oh my gosh, that's going to happen. Because naturally, that's why I got into acting, is because I'm a fan. So I love talking with the fans of the show because it's like talking with the other actors. It's like talking with the producers, because we've been able to create this special thing, this bond of like love and community and family with Snowpiercer. So I mean, the fans have chimed in on that, and they're part of the family as well. So I mean, it's great.
When you film the episodes, do you guys film one episode at a time, or do you actually do different scenes from different episodes?
Yeah, so we do what's called block shooting. So we don't shoot episode by episode. We don't shoot chronologically. We shoot scene by scene. So it is important to also be able to be, that's why I think everybody lasts on the show, and that's why everybody does so well, is because we're all such great actors. Like, you have to know what you did 3 weeks ago to be able to continuity that.
Because I was trying to remember, like when you said reading the script, I was like, okay, like, you know, you're in your trailer and you're like, okay, here's episodes 1 through 3. They pretty much give you the whole season at once, don't they? No. So how does it work?
No. So they usually give you, so they'll give you the beginning of the blocking, which would be like block A, which is usually episodes 1 to 3. And then within that block, you'll be shooting different episodes per day. So it's definitely not like, it's so tough now. Like, you have to get everybody, especially on this show, there's such a big cast. So you can't shoot chronologically. It would be impossible just to have everybody available from that time to that time. So we block shoot, but yeah, it's still, that's kind of like the fun part of it, to kind of do a shoot from like episode 3 and then go back and be like, yeah, my work kind of adds up. Like, that was the right response. That's what I was supposed to do. And we have such a talented team of producers and writers that they know, they're like, oh, I don't know if you would have done that. So that's that community part. And that, like, you know, we're connected.
Do you go back and watch the episodes when they air?
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, I'm a fan. I watch it every Monday night on TNT at 9 o'clock, every Monday. And then I watch it again on Netflix. It's one of my favorite shows. So yeah, to answer that question, of course I do.
Awesome. You mentioned, you know, you love comic books. Would you love to work on DC or Marvel someday, or even if it's a small role or big role, or give like a superhero role maybe that you would want to play someday?
Yeah, I mean, I always say Cyborg off the top. Because Cyborg was probably one of the first representations that I read that looked like me. So Cyborg would be my one. Booyah! If you ever read the comic, that's what he says. But I do I would love to be part of the Green Lantern Corps as well with DC. But I mean, Marvel, I would sell my left arm, my pinky toe, to play any X-Men. Really, I mean, the first ones that come to mind are Spike, and along those lines, I would love to be part of the Marvel movie universe. Really, it's something that I fan out a lot of. So it would be like the epic dream of that. So yeah, both of them. Why can't I do both?
Right. Are you looking forward to the new Batman movie?
Oh, it looks so good. Looks so good. I'm excited for. I like villains. I'm naturally drawn to villains, so I'm really excited for Catwoman. I think we're gonna
Oh,
get an amazing Catwoman.
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we're gonna get an
I didn't even
amazing
think about
Catwoman.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. Like what I've seen so far, I'm like, oh, she's gonna blow us out of the water, isn't she? She's gonna do really good. It's probably
I
gonna be
hope
her
so.
movie. Yeah, it looks
You never,
good.
hey,
It
you
looks
never
really good.
know. I mean,
Totally.
from what I've been reading, it's, like it's going to be very dark. It's not going to be your usual Batman that we've seen in the other movies. So
Yeah,
I hope so. I mean,
which is what we like, which is the world we're kind of in right now. So it's kind of, I see it's going to be great. I think it's going to be good.
I
Let's
hope so.
pray together. It's gonna be good. I can't have another bad Batman movie, please.
So now what's next for you now? Because I saw online, you filmed some TV movies also for GAC,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I work with GAC and Hallmark a lot.
Okay.
I I do love those movies. I love that again, we're talking about the Marvel universe and the DC universe. There's a Christmas
Right.
movie universe, it's kind of this world where everything is beautiful and a little bit more simpler. And I think that's why the audience is so drawn to it. And I think that's why me as an actor, I'm drawn to it, because I like being earnest. I really do. I enjoy playing earnest characters. So I love them. That's like the best thing I could say about them. I hope that I'll do 5 this year again, because
Wow.
I
Yeah.
generally like working on them. It kind of reminds me of theater as an actor, because we're doing like 14 pages of dialogue a day.
Yeah.
So it really does, like, it gets my theater chops up again. It gets me missing theater. So it's good. I really enjoy them. Yeah.
Is there anything on your bucket list for 2022 that you want to try to accomplish?
2022. Yeah. There's so much I want to accomplish this year. I don't like putting too much pressure on myself. But I'm auditioning for some of these great projects, and I'm last year was the year of me being like that guy, like the guy of like, oh, you were right there. So I'm hoping to be, right there. I'm hoping to be that guy. But also, without a vain response, I want to be happy. I think it's been a couple tough years for everyone, and I think happiness and joy is really important. So 2022 is about happiness and joy. I just found that. Thanks. Yeah.
There you go. I'm glad I helped you with that.
You're my therapist now. I love it.
Ian, lastly, how can the listeners and the viewers find you on social media?
Yeah, so please tune in with me every Monday with Snowpiercer on Twitter at Collins-IC on Twitter. And then you can follow me on Instagram at fresh_Collins.
Ian, man, this was great. Thanks for coming on. Let's get you back on for season 4 and any other projects.
Please, yeah. I would love to come back on.